Recording in progress.
So welcome everyone. We got our strength training class today, strength training and circuit. So we'll be doing our warm up and then transition down to a workout. And the workout's gonna be again like 4 blocks, about 4 or 5 exercises each one, and we'll go for about 30 to 40 seconds if we're not counting. And if we are counting, we're aiming for anywhere between 10 to 12 repetitions. So let's go ahead and warm up. Okay, so just looking left to right over here. Remember, we have class right after this at 10. Up and down. Let's get a nice warm up. So good morning to everyone. Next circles. So just try to get as much rotation as possible. Switch. All right, snow angels here. I'm already getting warm. I don't know how if I'm gonna manage this half hour. Most people that do this type of like heat training, they go for a run or a bike ride and then they go into a sauna for 20 minutes. And I think that's how they get their heat training in. Let's do our trunk rotations.
Buenos días, Julio. I'm sorry.
Buenos dias. Oh. So yeah, so yesterday, last week on Wednesday with my fully booked day, I ran before my classes and I felt terrible by the end of the day. Let's do our ab circles. I think I was just really exhausted. And then yesterday was similar, but I ran after the classes and it was warmer and well, it was hotter and yeah, but I think I postponed my run till after the classes, and I think that's the best way to do it, at least for me. I think if I run before and then have 3 consecutive classes, my body doesn't like that. Alright, let's go with big hip circles. So just exaggerate motion. Oh. Morning, Jan. Low. Let's switch. Just exaggerate the motion here. Let's do some standing hip openers. So drive your knee up, out, down. And for today's class, we'll be using a chair, dumbbells, yoga mat. If you have a kettlebell, we could use that actually for the first movement. All right, let's switch. Is anyone sore from yesterday? If you're doing both classes today, yeah, we're doing strength training first, and then afterwards would be like our mobility and flexibility class. So a little bit easier than our second class yesterday. All right, hamstring stretch. So let's go ahead, slide your hands down your shins, glutes down, extend. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, and our last one is our deep squat. So just drop down. Chest up. And rise. Alrighty. Catch your breath. I think this heat training is already hitting me. Alright, so like I mentioned, we will be doing 4 different blocks. Each block has about 4 different exercises. Our first block is going to be our dumbbell or kettlebell swing. So that's when we hold the dumbbell here. We kind of loosen up at the knees and we swing this way. And we do it by thrusting our hips, not really using our arms. That's going to be our first one. Then we're going to have an elevated push-up. So I think we mentioned or demonstrated the elevated push-ups were here. And you could use a chair or a couch. And if you prefer to just do the traditional push-ups, that's totally fine as well. Then we have reverse lunges, okay? If the lunging motion gets a little bit irritating on the knee, you could do a static lunge, okay? Or you could get a little bit closer and just do that to suit you. And then we're gonna do some penguins on the floor to finish off that set, okay? So I do wanna try 2 sets of the kettlebell or dumbbell swings because that's pretty good mobility and it's a little bit different than what we're used to. So it's gonna give us some good strength around the hip. So go ahead and find that equipment for yourself. I was gonna share something and I just forgot. It'll come back to me. Alrighty. Very good. So, if you've never done the kettlebell swing, pretty much how I do this is I hold the dumbbell like so, and I just kind of just start swinging my hips back and forth, and then I start including my knees into it, okay? And my arms are just supporting, my hands are just supporting the dumbbells. It's really the swing that's making that kettlebell come up. All right, kettlebell or dumbbell. All right, so we're doing a total of 10 to 12 swings. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So I don't really count the first 1 or 2 because I'm just loosening up. And once I feel like I got that big swing going, then I start counting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. About 30 seconds rest in between. Then we have our elevated push-ups, traditional push-ups, knee-assisted push-ups, whatever push-ups you want to do. Let's go ahead and do those. Nice thing about the elevated push-ups is you're very likely to get more completed if you're doing this variation, okay? So I have my chair here. I would just use my hands, get in this extended position, and press down and up, okay? So give me 10 to 12 if you could manage. If you could manage a little bit more, go ahead and do a little more, okay? Ready, and begin. 15 for me. Ooh. All right. Reverse lunges. We'll start in about 20 seconds. I just remember what I was gonna say. So when I do the the thumbnail for the YouTube, I go through like this AI software, and just for messing around, I asked for it for like an older adult strength workout or a cardio. No, it was a cardio workout. And just so you know, you folks are light years ahead of what that AI software thinks active adults could do, because some of that stuff was just like, come on, it was like our warm up was the workout that it was generating. So yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, yeah, this is not in the right direction. We're gonna go ahead and do reverse lunges. We're doing 8 on each leg. So just body weight, okay? So we're here, step back. Yeah. Yeah, it started off by giving a little like paragraph of what it was trying to avoid because, the age group. And it said we have to avoid jumping jacks. That's too extreme. And then I think we have to avoid air squats too. It said make sure there's a chair nearby. And I was just like, okay, like I think this AI needs some updating. All right, let's do 2 more on each side. All right, very good. Whew. Doing well. Total of 16. Okay, all right, and then our last one for this set of 4 is gonna be penguins. So we're gonna be on the floor. All right, we're on the floor. Sit up position, and we're gonna go ahead and reach and tap our heels side to side. If that seems too easy, then try to reach for the sides for your pinkies. All right, your pinky toes. We're gonna go for 40 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. "40 seconds. If you don't have a yoga mat, you could easily clean the floor with a bunch of sets of these. We're at 25 seconds. Keep it going. 34 seconds. And time. All right. We're gonna do the second set of kettlebell swings. We may as well do a second set of the elevated push-ups too. So yeah, let's get back on our feet. We'll do the kettlebell swings. All right, Lisa, no problem. Thanks for the heads up. All right. So grab your kettlebell again. Let's aim for 12 to 15 this time, okay? Ready, begin. So remember, get that motion going. Once you got it, start counting. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. Get your rest. That was 15. All right, and you're ready. Give me your push-ups again, your elevated push-ups. Ready, and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale on your way up. go. Good work. All right, so this is where we are gonna take our 2 minutes rest. All right, so 2 minutes, grab your water. We have 3 of these 2 minutes breaks in between the workouts, so. All right, I'll go over the next movement. So we have dumbbell single arm rows. So again, using your chair for support, bring that dumbbell off to your side. Here we have dumbbell sumo squats. So you could just have the dumbbell down here, exaggerate stance, sumo squat for that. Then we have dumbbell Arnold press. So if you remember those, you do a curl, rotate, and press. Rotate here, press down. And then we have our bear crawl shoulder tap. So you could do a bear crawl shoulder tap or just a regular high plank shoulder tap. Okay, so those are our first 4 movements. I want to repeat the sumo squat and the Arnold press, okay? So we'll repeat 2 of these movements as well. The shoulder tap works with some balance in there, and I think, I believe we will be working on some balance over towards the end of the week. So, all right, so let's go ahead, grab your dumbbell where you have our single arm rows. So support yourself, keep your back straight, hands all the way down, and then bring that elbow to your side and down. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, and 12. Forgetting how to count. All right, get a little break. Good morning, Doris. And then let's transition to our other side. So again, our one arm bent over rows. So go ahead and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Whew. That was a long one. So a total of 24. Good work. All right, we have our sumo squats next. How are we doing? All right, so our sumo squats. If we're ready to go with those, let's go ahead and begin. We're doing 10 to 12 of these. Remember, grab a hold of your dumbbell, wide stance, and we want to go down. 1, 2, 3. So these are a little slower. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Ooh. Very good. All right, we have our dumbbell standing Arnold press. So again, we're gonna have the dumbbells here. We're gonna curl, rotate, press, come down, and undo that curl. All right, so about 15 more seconds. Let me get through here. All right. So this one and the last one we just did, we're gonna repeat a second time, okay? Ready? Grab your dumbbells. So you're doing 10 of these, 8 to 10. Ready, and begin. So curl, press, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, keep it going, 7, 8, woo, 9, last one, and 10. I think covering my head with this hood just increased the temperature by like 15 degrees. Whew. Good job. All right, so this next one we have our bear crawl shoulder tap or our high plank tap, shoulder tap, okay? So slight variations to each of these. So remember the bear crawl, you're almost like the quadruped position, but you're off your knees and you're gonna tap your opposite shoulder. And the high plank, you are just like in a regular high plank here, and you could just tap your shoulder. So the difference is the high plank position, you're just extended, where the bear crawl, you're a little bit more compact, okay? And we're doing this one, we're doing a total of 8 taps on each shoulder, so a total of 16 taps, okay? All right, when you're ready, let's go ahead in 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. All right, then back down. We're gonna take about 30 seconds rest and just do another round. That was pretty quick. So catch your breath. I'm cheating here by taking off my hood. All right, we'll start in about 10 seconds with our second round of these. 3, 2, 1, and begin again. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. Very good. Good job. All right. We're gonna go get back on our feet. We have our dumbbell sumo squats and then our second set of Arnold press. Alrighty. So if you're good to go, let's go ahead and do our second set of our sumo squats. So remember, exaggerate your stance and drop those weights down and up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Oof. Oh man. Looking forward to the next class already. And then we have our second set of Arnold press once we're done here. I didn't get to the Lego sets this weekend, Jan. I I think I need a break. I just need an open table. Oh. Alrighty. Our Arnold press, whenever you're ready, if you need a little bit more rest, go ahead and recover. But if we're ready to go, give me 8 to 10 of the Arnold press. So remember, curl, rotate, press. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Ooh. Good work. All right. All right, we're going on to our, sorry, I'm just trying to catch my breath. Going on to our third block. Okay, so these next ones, we're gonna go ahead and start with the, 1 second. The new one that I added. I was trying to remember how it went. All right, so we're gonna go with the dumbbell lateral lunge. All right, so we're gonna go here, goblet style. Step right, come back, step left, come back. Okay, that's gonna be our first one. And then the next 3 are gonna be on the floor. Okay, so I'll demonstrate on the floor once we're there. So you'll need the yoga mat. This one we'll only do once, and then we'll do some of the, or 1 or 2 of the floor ones a couple times. All right, let's go ahead. Ready? And begin. So 1, 1. We're doing 6 on each side. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, and 6. All right, good. You can set up your yoga mat now. We'll be on the floor for the next few. Excuse me. Okay, so the first one we're gonna do is called the dumbbell Zottman curl, okay? So this one's a new one. I was going through the software. So we're gonna do a curl and then rotate and then go down here, okay? So remember, palms are facing the camera first here, then up top we rotate and then go down. Okay, so pretty much on the way up you're working your biceps, on the way down your triceps are controlling the movement down. All right, ready? And we're gonna do 2 rounds of this one. Go ahead and begin. So 10, 1, at the bottom adjust, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very good. 14 pounds. I like that one. All right, we have reverse crunches next. So reverse crunches, if you don't remember these, we are on the floor. This position, hands out your side, and you're gonna roll your knees towards your chest. Okay? If that seems like too much, you could do a sliding sit-up. Okay? We just want to switch up, have some variation with our abdominals. But yeah, so this is gonna be for time. Okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So, reverse crunch. We're just rolling your hips up, bringing your knees towards your chest. Ten more seconds. 3, 2, 1, time. Whew. How did that sensation of when you jump in a pool and water goes up your nose? That's what that felt like. All right, and then our next one on the floor is going to be floor presses. So we'll need your dumbbells and we're gonna be in the same position we were just in. So we're gonna go from here and press up and back down, okay? So right here, your arms, the floor is gonna prevent your arms from going any lower, but you're gonna press up. All right, so this one, let's do 12 to 15. Ready? And begin. So 1, control it, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right. Very good. Whew. Good job, folks. Good job, Jan. That was 30 pounds. Okay. All right. And then we have our last block that we're going into. Okay. I think that's enough heat training. Ugh. Sweating a little bit more than I wanted to. Alright, so we're going into our last block. So we have our lateral to front raises here. Okay. Then we have windshield wipers. So those are going to be on the floor for your abs. And then the last two are going to be standing, which I'll demonstrate after. Okay. So let's go ahead and do our front to lateral raises. Remember, you're here, side, forward. Okay. We're doing 8 of each. Go ahead and begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oof, that's disappointing. That one used to seem very easy for me, and now it's really hard. Okay. Oh well, gotta work on that. Alright, and then our windshield wipers. These are pretty much like our knee drops when we do our lower back stretch. But we're gonna make an attempt to keep our legs a little bit more extended. Okay, so usually we're here and we do these knee drops side to side. If we can, let's try to extend the legs a little bit more and drop. And if we can't, then just keep those knees bent. Okay, so we just want to work on the abs and on the lower back. All right, this is going to be for time, and then the rest of these are going to be standing. All right, we'll start in 3, 2, 1, and begin. So 30 to 40 seconds. Get the back rolling. "20 seconds. Remember, you could have your knees bent. We're at 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Oof. Very good. Let's come up. Oof. All right, and now we have our frog hops and our tricep extensions, okay? So frog hops, these next two, we're just standing. Frog hops are here, and you just are gonna jump forward and come back, okay? So jump forward and come back. If we just jump a little bit, that's okay. But let's try to get 8 to 10 of these jumps, okay? All right, so remember, you're here, you squat, and instead of just jumping up, you jump forward. All right, ready? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. We're doing 8. Five, 6, 7, and 8. All right. And our last one's gonna be our tricep extensions. That's when we're bent here, elbows at your side, and you extend to work on that tricep, okay? That's our last one before we start cooling down. All right, ready? We're gonna do 10 on each arm. So go ahead, find that bent position, elbow at your side, and extend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come back up. We'll switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very good. Oof. Alright, good job, people. I'm gonna go ahead and then just really, we could do some standing stretches, because if you're gonna join me in the next hour, we're gonna be sitting in the chair pretty much the whole class time. So let's go ahead and just bring that right arm across. Good job, folks. 170 calories right now. Not sure how much the heat training affected that. Let's switch. Let's kind of lean towards our left foot and just hold that stretch gently. Bring your chest towards your knee. Switch. And then down the middle. And relax. Whew. All right, folks. Good job. We're done with the hard part of the day. So at 10, we'll start with the easy part. But between now and then, yeah, I'll see you folks soon. If you don't come back, then hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. All right, everyone.
I'm not sure I see you later.
Oh, man. Come on, Carmen. All right, folks. See you soon.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, no worries. Bye-bye.
Okay, yes, sir.
Recording stopped.